I love the fact that we are beginning to develop in this community rituals. There's something so wonderful about rituals. Last week we had the burning bowl ceremony, which we've done for a number of years, and there's something very sweet and moving about it that takes it to another level when you're actually doing something, not just thinking. And so today we have another opportunity to have a ritual around writing down our intentions for the new year. And so being up here to talk about that, I was sitting there, my heart was beating a little faster, and I thought, well, a similar analogy is when you're on a cliff and you're about to jump into a pool way, way down there. And there's a lot of trust involved. You assume the water is going to be soft like it always has been. It's not a hard surface, and that you're going to dive okay. And so just that, what? But I love that we all come here and have this weekly experience. And I was thinking about, so what is the reason for that? And probably in some way it's different for each of us. But in some ways I suspect we have a common experience that is fundamental to our human nature, which is the experience of connection, the experience of love, the experience of communication and joy and peace and power and connecting with self, connecting with each other. So the opening prayer had an aspect of really starting at the ground and coming up through your body and setting intentions after you have connected with the grounded self. And that is one of the experiences I find so important. Life is so full of distractions and busyness, and you go through your day, it's in the head, thinking. And I think a big part of this practice is like take time out throughout the day to just get grounded. And because that's where the truth is, that's where the power is, that's where God is in the body, in the self, outside of the thinking, busy mind. So there's a couple of things I would like to share with you today as part of this experience before we go into our writing period. There is a book called The Book of Awakening by Mark Nepo. Some of you may know it. It has daily readings. And his reading for January 1 is so beautiful because it talks about the preciousness of just being alive, being a human. So let me read it as a beginning to this opportunity that the new year offers of stepping out of taking everything for granted and really just taking a moment to appreciate how amazing it is just to be alive, how amazing it is that the sun rose again, how amazing it is that I'm in this day. So here we go. There is a Buddhist precept that asks us to be mindful of how rare it is to find ourselves in human form on earth. It is really a beautiful view of life that offers us a chance to feel enormous appreciation for the fact that we are here as individual spirits filled with consciousness, drinking water, and chopping wood. I suspect today we might do other things than that, but similar. It asks us to look about at the ant and the antelope, at the worm and the butterfly, the dog and the hawk, at the 100-year oak and the 1,000-year patch of ocean. It asks us to understand that no other life form has the consciousness of being that we are privileged to. It asks us to recognize that of all the endless species of plants and animals and minerals that make up the earth, a very small portion of life has the wakefulness of spirit that we call being human. You could have been an ant. I could have been an anteater. You could have been rain. I could have been a lick of salt. But we are blessed in this time, in this place, to be human beings alive in rare ways we often take for granted. All of this to say this precious human birth is unrepeatable. So what will you do today? Knowing that you are one of the rarest forms of life ever to walk the earth, how will you carry yourself? What will you do with your life? Today, you are precious and rare and awake. Knowing this ushers us into grateful living. It makes hesitation useless. Grateful and awake, ask what you need to know and be and do to fully live this precious life. So that's that piece of how amazing it is to see. Even I got a little quaky there. Just when you really think about how amazing it is to be conscious and in this life. So the next piece I'd like to look at is the difference between intentions and resolution. And it's very aligned with our New Thought practices and principles. Maybe first I want to just point to the stage, because I have a mind that is very hard to live with. You might all have versions of that. See this lovely stage and the flowers, and that curtain isn't closed enough. Forgot to close the curtain. That corner is not lit. I forgot to put the spotlight there. And as I was noticing that sitting there, New Thought teaches me to celebrate what is. I could obsess about it. Damn, I forgot that spotlight. It's all off. It's ruined. And yet, there's beautiful light, there's shadows, there's so much to celebrate. And the thing is, we do that about ourselves. I do that about myself. There's all of this amazing aspect of being me, you being you, and yet we find the one thing that is off, and we obsess about that. New Thought is all about training our minds to put attention onto that which we want, rather than putting attention onto that which we don't want. So here's some reading about how intentions differ to resolutions. Unlike resolutions, intention setting focuses less on goals and more on the journey which leads to certain outcomes. Think of it this way: intentions focus more on internal power and long-term change, whereas resolutions focus more on external and something short-lived, on rewards. Let's look at how this works for one of the most commonly set resolutions: losing weight. If you are setting a resolution to lose weight, it might be something like, I'm going to lose 20 pounds. But if you choose to set an intention, the weight loss might be a result, but it's not going to be the focus. The intention might be something like, I'm going to take care of my body the way that it deserves. This might incorporate making changes to your diet or exercise regimen, but the focus is not on those specific changes, but the intention of treating your body the way it deserves. Intentions are about reconnecting with our authentic selves. It enables us to reconnect with what we need, mind, body, and spirit. Intentions seek to address this residue from within in order to achieve change, whereas resolutions most often set awareness on the achievement of something externally. The difference is subtle but important. Some may think intentions are not strong enough to create change. Actually, intentions allow us to be more creative, aware, and mindful of what we would like to change. A resolution seems to ask us to be perfect, something we can never achieve. Exhibit A. But I keep trying. Resolutions seem to focus only on outcomes, not the journey. New Year's is often a time to create resolutions, to fix, change, or improve ourselves, to become better and happier. However, in resolution setting, we tend to disregard the essential wisdom that the journey is not one of fixing ourselves, but rather one of reconnecting with our inherent, exquisite selves, our wholeness. So it's about connecting with our wholeness rather than what needs fixing. Thich Nhat Hanh teaches, we can only take care of the future by taking care of the present, because the future is made out of only one substance, the present. The Vedic text, more commonly known as the Upanishads, state, you are what your deepest desire is. As your desire is, so is your intention. As your intention is, so is your will. As your will is, so is your deed. As your deed is, so is your destiny. So, of those sheets of paper you have, the second one has 7 items on it. If you do start writing, and you certainly can be addressing your envelope, but if you do start writing, hold off on that sheet, write on the plain one, Dear Me. I'm going to just talk a little bit about those 7 areas. We've all found ourselves wondering, what is the purpose of life? One simple and clear answer could be that the purpose of life is to express. To express what? To express as much of God as we can. Judge Thomas Troward, a pioneer of the New Thought movement, states that God, first cause or universal creativity, creates. What does it create? It creates itself. What is itself? Life, love, light, power, peace, beauty, and joy. We are expressions of God, which means we are all life, love, light, power, peace, beauty, and joy in various levels of expression. Our purpose is to express greater and ever greater levels of these qualities, all for the purpose of God's ever-increasing enjoyment of life. Spirit creates for the sole purpose of expressing itself. We are created in the image and likeness of Spirit. Therefore, our purpose is to express ourselves, our highest selves, our godlike selves. We can think of these 7 qualities of God as they relate to us this way. Life, which is the energy of God. Love, which is the generosity of God. Light, which is the knowledge of God. Power, which is the movement of God. Peace, which is the acceptance of God. Beauty, which is the expression of God. Joy, which is the experience of God. We have been created to be the vehicle that Spirit uses to consciously recognize and know itself as itself. So what does that mean in our day-to-day living? Could we all express peace a little more? Perhaps by saying a kind word to a stranger? Perhaps by resisting an argument with a loved one? Perhaps by letting some indiscretion by another driver on the highway go without incident? Couldn't we all express a little more love by expressing your feelings for another person without expectation of a likewise response? By giving yourself by volunteering just because you can? Couldn't we all express a little more light, which is wisdom and understanding? Such as knowing when someone is lashing out that it is not at you, but because their own fears or sense of powerlessness are in operation. This is how we express more of God. This is why we are here. We are here to express our unique spiritual selves. Spirit would not be complete without ourselves. So now we'll take 10 minutes to just kind of check into our wholeness and see what areas want to express themselves more fully this year and put that in writing, Keelan will give us some background music, and then Keelan, there is a basket here. If you can get to it, when you're done, you can put your sealed addressed envelope in the basket. Otherwise, we'll come around afterwards with the basket. After our writing period, Keelan will perform his song, and then we'll go to the second part of our service.